天哪，我的脚！圆圆的小狗比较好看。
北头那个他已经优质了嘛，然后现在。
morning, dear professors, lecturers, and our beloved students. I'm Nisha here. It's my pleasure to be a moderator for this webinar. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We truly appreciate you taking your time off your busy schedule to join us in this beautiful Saturday morning. We are overwhelmed with more than 300 registrations, not only from Malaysia, but also from Sri Lanka, United States, Afghanistan, Uganda, India, Australia, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brunei, South Africa, New Zealand, and Philippines. Thank you for your support and make this webinar possible today. Before we kick off with our presenter, a few quick reminders so that we could learn and enjoy today's webinar without much interruptions. Please remember to mute your mic so that your secrets are not being heard by all of us. Please do keep calm and stay connected in the event that we have an internet interruptions. Kindly check on your microphones and speaker setting in case if you can't hear our speaker voice. You can check on the more option button with three horizontal dots which is located in between the chat button and a cross button in red. Or else, if you can't solve the problem, you can right away drop your message in our chat box and our technical team will guide you. We have a very special gift for 10 lucky winners today, and we will do the draw towards the end of our webinar. Let me to clarify everyone on how are we going to select the 10 lucky winner. All the students need to register for our webinar today and manage to check into our webinar by 10:15 a.m. and present till the end of webinar. Then only you will be qualified to become one of the 10 lucky winner. If you manage to collect the referral points, then it will be an advantage for you to be one of the 10 lucky winner. Let's say if you already registered to our webinar but didn't check in by 10:15, you are not qualified for the draw. And at the same time, if you collect a lot of referral points but did not turn up, still you are not qualified for the draw. So the overall process will be like this. You need to register, check in by 10:15 a.m. and present till the end of the webinar. Then only you will be qualified to become one of the 10 lucky winner. I believe everyone clear on this draw process. Last but not least, if you have any question during the webinar and you want to ask the question with the speaker, kindly drop your question in our chat box. We will analyze the question and we will bring it to our speaker at the end of his sharing section. With that, let me introduce our young, talented, and motivated speaker, Mr. Brian Lai. Over to you, Mr. Brian.
Hey everyone. Are you guys able to hear me well? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. Hi everyone. My name is Brian. I recently graduated with the class of 2020 in May. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in... Okay, that's good. That's good that you guys can hear me. All right. So to give a little background about myself, I graduated this past May with the class of 2020. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Analytics and Information Technology. On campus, I'll see President of FISEN, a professional development organization with over 30 student chapters across America. On top of that, I was also the director of fundraising for Alpha Kappa Psi, the oldest and largest business fraternity in the world. Our notable alumni include two presidents of the United States, President Nixon and President Reagan. On top of that, we also have a celebrity that a lot of you might know, Drake Bell from Drake and Josh. Through leveraging on these different experiences through my college career, I was able to secure a couple of different internship offers my junior year with the opportunity to convert into full-time. And by last summer, I was able to secure a full-time offer for the summer after that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and approve it, I guess.
死姣婆
Sorry for the interruption, Mr. Brian. I
Yeah.
can still hear some of.
Is everything going okay?
Yeah. Kindly mute your mic, dear students, professor, because it will disturb others. So, Mr. Brian, yeah, you can continue now.
All right. So before I begin, I'm going to recommend a few steps that everyone here should be taking. The first is to dominate your college career. The second is to perfect your resume. The third is to build out your network. And the fourth thing is to practice your interview skills. And in the end, I'm going to leave some time for some key takeaways and a Q&A. So the first thing is your college career. I remember my first year going to college. I was definitely really excited to learn a lot of academic knowledge because these are the 4 years that you're supposed to learn about your major, what job you want to do, what industry you want to go into. And while there is truth to that, I think the biggest takeaway from me and the biggest differentiator between high school and college was definitely the personal growth for myself. So here's a quick framework that I used while I was in college. This isn't something new. I didn't create this framework, but it's been battle tested and it definitely works. So in your first year, for a lot of you, the first year is going to represent the first time that you're living away from your parents, away from all the nagging, away from all the chores, away from all the responsibilities. And you're going to find it really enticing to just stay in your room, stay in your dorm, watching Netflix or going outside and partying away. And while doing those things to some degree is completely fine, I would highly recommend that you go out and explore all the different clubs and all the different interests you might have that your university will no doubt provide. For my university, for example, in the first 2 weeks, there was a big involvement fair where all the different clubs and organizations they came out, they tabled and talked about what they're about. I want everyone here, when you go back to college, check these involvement fairs out. Go outside and join these different clubs and see what you can get from it. While you're doing all these different things, though, definitely try and maintain above a 3.0 GPA, which is above a B. And for that summer, I would highly suggest getting a summer job, an internship, or an externship. And it doesn't need to be paid because, to be honest, as a first year in college, you're not bringing much to the table. And that's completely fine because you go in there with an open mind. You might get to learn a lot, you might not. That's fine too. It's going to be a good resume builder anyway. Now, for your second year, I definitely recommend honing into 1 to 3 clubs that you're really interested in and that you can see yourself grow with for the past 2 to 3 years. Also, still maintain your GPA, of course. And for that summer, your summer job and internship should be a little bit more career oriented. So, for example, I know a lot of universities, by the end of your second year, you're supposed to declare your major. So, for example, if you declare a finance major, try and find a finance internship. It doesn't have to be for a major big company, it can be a local startup, it could be a small company. And in a small company, you usually get to learn a lot of tricks, a lot of the ins and outs of the entire business, and you get to learn different functions of finance. So for a second year internship, that's amazing. And hopefully this year you get to get paid. Now for your third year. For your third year, it's definitely the most important year of your college career. Your third year is supposed to be that 1 year that you secure that dream internship where you're able to convert it into a full-time offer down the line. I remember my third year, my first 2 months of the year, I spent every single minute I could think of either in my room perfecting my resume or I was outside at career fairs and information sessions giving out my career fairs, putting my name out there and just building my network. So definitely in your third year, try and get leadership positions in those 1 to 3 clubs that I told you to get yourself more involved in. That will help boost your resume. And then just go out there, go to any career fairs you can find, any information sessions you can find. Just go out, put your name out there and see what happens. So hopefully by then you get to secure a dream internship and you can convert that into full time. Now I know this process might seem a little lonesome because for 2 to 3 months you're just going to be in your room or at a career fair grinding out for that dream internship. But I would encourage you to think of it this way. This will be 2 months out of 4 years where you're just completely isolated from your friends, hopefully getting what you need to do, get done, and the rest of the year, rest of the school year, rest of your college career, you can just relax. Now heading into your fourth year. Heading into your fourth year, hopefully coming off a great internship, your dream internship, and now you need to finish off your classes strong because a lot of full-time offers actually have some prerequisites that you have to do. You have to obviously graduate, you have to maintain a certain GPA. So for example, you might have to maintain at least a 3.2 or 3.5. Some offers will have that you need to have at least a certain amount of credits in this certain department. So definitely check all those things off And once you've secured the job, made sure that everything is going to go smoothly, you can then relax for the rest of your college career. Now into your resume. Your resume is the single most important piece of paper that you will use in your college career. The resume is basically a highlight of all the different experiences, leadership positions that you had in college. So into resume basics. The resume basically has 5 main portions. The first section will be your contact information. This will include your name. Try to write your first and last name only, keep it short. It will have your email address, your home address, your phone number, and your LinkedIn URL. The second section will be the education. This will have the university that you're a part of, your GPA, your expected graduation date, and also any relevant courses that you might have taken. Now, the third section will be your work experience. This will be all the summer jobs, all the internships, externships that you did in school. This is where you put it. Your fourth section will be leadership experience. This is where any volunteer experience, any Boy Scout, Girl Scouts, any type of things that you've done outside of your regular curriculum, this is where you put it. And the last section is what I would like to call the others. This is where people usually put any certificates they have, any languages they might know, any technical skills they know, and any interests that they have. So for the font size, your name, I would highly recommend keeping it within 24 to 30 because you don't want to be too big that it's really obnoxious, but you want to be big enough that when a recruiter is looking through piles and piles of resume that they're able to look for your name, pick you out, and find you easily. For your headers, keep it within 13 to 14. For the content, 11 to 12. Now for your margins. I would highly recommend for your margins, go with a custom margin on Word doc because everyone's resume is going to be a little slightly different in terms of content amount, right? So for mine, I believe I use 0.5 from top to bottom, 0.25 from left to right. So definitely try and keep it within 0.5 because you don't want a recruiter to look at your resume and see, well, this person uses really big margins. And why is that? Because they don't have a lot to say. So try and keep it within 0.5 and just fill it up as much as you can. Now for your GPA, definitely only include it if you have above a 3.2 because anything below that, it's not a good data point for recruiters to have. So only include it for 3.2, and that's completely fine if you have a below 3.2. A lot of students go through different paths. Some students could be working a lot of part-time jobs, doing a lot of extracurriculars, just doing a lot of different things in college that boost up other parts of their resume. So definitely don't worry too much about that. And if a recruiter really, really wants to know your GPA, they're going to ask for it anyways. So for your content itself, definitely use action verbs. Use words like led, organized, pitched, developed, initiated, these kind of words. Don't ever start a bullet point with I did this, to this. Just use action verbs. And for action verbs, you can actually just go on Google, search up action verbs or resume, and you're going to have a bunch of lists of what you can use. For your bullet point itself, keep it consistent in length. Don't go over one line. And that's only because you're expected to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently what you did at that job, at that leadership position, and you can present it to the recruiter. Make sure your grammar is right, of course. If it's in the past, use present tense. If it's in the present, use present tense. For the page length of your resume itself, keep it within 1 page. The only reason you would ever go beyond 1 page is if you've had 5 to 10 years of work experience. So coming out of college, being in college, definitely keep it within 1 page. Now for your position and titles, definitely italicize them because when a recruiter is looking through thousands and thousands of resumes, right? They want to be able to look at your resume and pinpoint what positions you had, what internships you had right away. And that's the way they pinpoint it is by looking at italicized. So definitely look for that. Also, try your best to have numbers and data in your bullet points. These are just more data points and more metrics for recruiters to look at. They want to know how you tangibly impacted the company and the clubs that you were a part of. I understand that could be kind of difficult sometimes at internship when you're only there for 3 months, and that's completely fine. But for anything else where you can try and quantify it, definitely leave numbers in there. And now for the others section, right? You can see on mine, I left certifications there, some languages that I speak, some softwares that I know how to use, and a lot of interests. The interest, in my opinion, is one of the more impactful lines in your resume. A resume is usually pretty straightforward, pretty to the point, pretty professional, and that's completely fine. But the interest section will give off a character, will show off your personality a lot more. So for your interest, try and be as specific as you can. Instead of just writing football, You can go Arsenal football. You can go Chelsea football. Instead of anime, you can go Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto. Instead of video games, you go Fortnite, FIFA, League of Legends. Instead of the NBA, you can go, even though the NBA is really kind of specific, right? You go one step further and go Lakers basketball, Philadelphia Sixers, things like that. But one thing to note though is to definitely only write things that you're comfortable and confident talking about. I've had an experience in an interview where an interviewer actually saw my resume and asked, "Hey, you're a big Dragon Ball fan." And for any Dragon Ball fans out there, he asked me what Super Saiyan level Gohan was when he fought Cell. I knew the answer, so I was fine and I got the job in the end. But that's just something to keep in mind, that only write things that you're confident about because they will ask and test you on it. And now for networking. Networking is something we do on a day-to-day basis if you really think about it. Anytime we talk to someone, be it our friends, our family, or even our professors, that's building our network. So definitely go out there and build it and make it bigger and stronger. But in terms of job recruiting, there are three main ways to build your network. The first one is to go to the career fair. The second thing is to update your LinkedIn. And the third is to cold email. So when you're at a career fair, what do? The first thing you need to do is have a good handshake. And how do you do that? You don't want to come across too aggressive, but you don't want to come across too passive as well. Because if you're too passive, you're going to come across as shy and unconfident. So try and find a middle ground. Practice with yourself, practice with your friends, your family. Just practice until you can get a good handshake that doesn't hurt the other person. The second thing is to smile and have eye contact. Just be personable. And I know it's a little difficult to stare someone in the eye for 10 minutes straight. So one tip that I got way back when is that instead of looking them in the eye, you can look them right here in their forehead. It's close enough in the eye that it'll give the perception that, hey, you're actually looking them in the eye and you're being respectful. So everyone moves on. Now, the third part is to do your research. This is important, and you can do research through going to their company website, going into their LinkedIn profile, or anywhere else the company might have posted different profiles along the internet. So just do that research, figure out what their core values are, figure out who their top executives are, because you don't want to be interviewing for, let's say, Amazon and not know who Jeff Bezos is. So definitely do your research on that. The fourth thing is to dress professionally. For guys and girls, I would highly, highly recommend keeping it simple. Go with black, blue, or gray. If you usually wear piercings and any jewelries for social settings, try and keep that at a minimal in a professional setting. All right, now that you already have a good handshake, you're smiling, your eye contact, you did your research, and you've dressed professionally. You might be wondering now, how do you talk to a recruiter? So most recruiters will be expecting you to start off with an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch basically got its name from, let's say, for example, you're stuck in an elevator with the CEO of Nike and you really want to work there. But an elevator ride is usually only 30 seconds to a minute. So that's how long you have to express yourself, express interest in a company, and stand out. So this is how it would go at a career fair. You would start off with a firm handshake that you've practiced. The second thing is to definitely still smile, be personable. Don't be too tense with them. You're human too, so just smile and be personable. Third thing is, this is how we'll start. Your name, your school year, your major, any internship and leadership experiences that you might have, and express interest in a company. Talk about any positions that you want, and that's where the research will come in. Definitely be enthusiastic and energized when you're talking to them as well, because think of it this way. When you're there at a career fair, you could have been waiting 2 to 3 hours to talk to this top company that you really want to work for. And that's completely fine. I'll recommend conserving your energy in line and then using that energy to talk to the recruiter. Because from the recruiter's perspective, she's been there since 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. since the beginning. She's been there really long talking to 30 to 40 people. She's definitely more exhausted than you. So hopefully, through a good conversation, you're able to, feed off each other's energy and make it a good conversation in the end. Before you leave, definitely try and get contact information from the recruiter. Ask for a business card or an email. A business card is ideal because when you leave the line, you can actually flip the business card around and you can write down anything unique that you guys talked about. And that's going to come in handy later on. So this is an elevator pitch example based on that formula. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to read through this. So it would go, "Hi, my name is Brian. I'm currently a senior in school name majoring in X major. Last summer, I had the opportunity to intern at X company as X intern, where my main responsibilities included X, X, and X. I've also interned and worked at X throughout my college years. On campus, I'm the X of X Club and X. When browsing through your company website, I was really excited in X position and I was wondering if you could tell me more about it. Something short and simple to get the recruiter going, and then a conversation can go from there." So now that you've talked to the recruiter, you've gone through it, you've gone to the career fair, now you left, you went home. Something you definitely need to do is to send a follow-up email within 24 hours because, like I said, right, the recruiter's been talking to 30, 40 people at this point. You're tired, even if you stood out a lot, even if you were so unique, it tends to blur away with a lot of other candidates. So send a follow-up email within 24 hours and thank them for their time. Keep this email short and simple, 3 to 4 sentences. And if you felt the conversation went well in person, definitely try and ask for a referral for the position or for someone else that's working in that position and you can talk to that person. This is good because you get to have even one step further into the company that you really want to work at. So this is an example of a thank you email. You go, "Dear X, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day to speak with me." And after that, you include something unique that you guys talked about. It could be something about the culture of the company. It could be something she just told you. It could be anything, just something unique that that only you and him will be talking about. Go ahead and include this. Okay, so after our conversation, I was inspired to apply to X position, and I was wondering if you could connect me with someone working in that position. Thank you again for your time, and look forward to hearing back from you soon. Have a great day. Best regards, X. All right, now for your social media. Whether you have TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, make them all private. I cannot stress this enough because you don't want to go through the hassle of recruiting for making a hiring manager like you, making a recruiter like you, going through interview process, and right before they're about to give you a job offer, to do a background check like every company does, and they're going to type in Google your name and something's going to come up, something inappropriate, maybe something you did way long time ago that you were a kid and you didn't know what was better. So just make it private so you don't lose your offer because of something stupid that you might have done in the past. And I understand that some of you might have dreams of becoming an influencer, and that's completely fine. If you have that dream, keep it public, but make sure your social media platforms are all clean and professional as they can be. But for the sake of this presentation, we're going to focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the most important social media platform you use in terms of job recruiting. So LinkedIn needs to have 4 things. The first is to have a new and clear headshot. I know mine over there is a little bit outdated. I don't look as young there anymore, but definitely just try and have an updated one. Try to have it professionally taken, or if you have an iPhone, right? An iPhone usually has portrait mode. Use portrait mode, ask a friend to take it for you, and just do it behind a white background and wear it dressed professionally. The second thing is to connect with your friends, your family, and any recruiters that you might meet at a career fair. This way, you get to expand upon your different connections. Third thing is to have a short bio. Your short bio will basically be like your elevator pitch, but even shorter. You talk about your name, your year, your school, your major, and then in the end, if you really want to, you can even drop like what positions you're really interested in interviewing for. And then the last thing is to have a custom URL. That's important because remember when I said in your resume, the contact information, you leave your LinkedIn URL. Well, your default LinkedIn URL is going to be something really, really long. LinkedIn will give you something with a bunch of numbers, symbols, and alphabets, and it's going to be too long for your resume or even for a recruiter to ever want to type in. So just go customize it. There's a settings function that I'm sure you can find. Just go in there, change it to something short and simple. I think mine is something like linkedin.com/Brian-Lai, something short and simple. So you might be asking, why LinkedIn? What's so special about LinkedIn? Why don't we just use a piece of resume that we worked so hard on? Yeah, the piece of resume that you worked so hard on is good and very essential when you're meeting that person, one-on-one in person. But especially in times like this during COVID, having a LinkedIn profile is so essential because your LinkedIn profile is essentially a digital resume. you can now apply to jobs in a different country, in a different state, wherever you want to be, you can apply for it. And hopefully your profile is updated. And another good thing is that in your LinkedIn profile, you can actually add pictures and videos of anything that you find relevant for that position or that internship. Another unique thing about LinkedIn is that it has a job board itself. You can go in there, browse for different jobs, and a lot of recruiters actually do post there, and a lot of jobs do go there really, really quick. So LinkedIn is good because for a lot of its jobs, it has this function called Easy Apply. Easy Apply essentially uses your profile on LinkedIn, and then it applies for you within maybe 2 to 3 clicks, and you've applied. Another good thing about LinkedIn's job board is that it tells you a lot of stats. It gives you the salary range of a lot of position. It gives you the number of applicants. It gives you maybe when it was posted and all these different little stats that you might find useful. And the last thing about LinkedIn that I find really unique and important is the in-mail function. The LinkedIn in-mail function is really good because it's something short and simple, and you can send it even without being a connection with someone else. You can actually send a quick note before you request to connect with someone. So this in-note is good. It's going to be short, but when you do this, try your best not to ask for a job straight up. Try and focus more on their journey, their experiences, and then see where the conversation goes from there. And now the last trick to networking in terms of job recruiting is the cold email. This is a template that I usually use. It goes, "Dear X, I hope this email finds you well. My name is X. I'm a senior majoring in X at X school. I was referred by X person to reach out to you to inquire about X position." Now, this line is very, very important because usually the only way that you're able to get someone's email to cold email someone else is, well, your friend, your family, or an acquaintance gave you that email, right? So by putting this line into that cold email, you're effectively bridging the gap between the recruiter and yourself. This past email, I had a wonderful opportunity to intern at X company, where my main responsibilities were X, X, and X. On campus, I am the X position of X Club. I would appreciate the opportunity to schedule a quick 30-minute phone call to learn more about this program. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing back from you soon. Have a great day. And it's optional if you want to include your resume or not. I normally wouldn't if it's someone I've never met before. I would like to build a little bit of a relationship and then go ahead and send in your resume. Best regards, X. All right, so now that you've dominated your college career, you've perfected that resume, you've done your fair share of networking, you've been to the different career fairs, the last thing standing between you and your job is the interview process. So 3 essential things for interview is to do your research, to practice, and then to send a follow-up as usual. So there are 2 ways to approach researching a company for an interview. First thing is the company website. Good companies, they have so much information on their website that you can spend days reading, but I would recommend focusing on maybe 2 to 3 things. First is to figure out their core values. Their core values is important because they could be interested or attracted to social impact, to environmental stuff, to collaboration, to innovation, these type of different things, right? You try and find something that aligns with yourself and then connect it during an interview. The second thing is to still look for the top executives. Like I said, you need to know the CEO of the company you're interviewing with, or even know the manager of that position. Just understand who they are. The third thing is to find any relevant up-to-date news. And this can be done through Google. Just Google a company, what do they do? Because usually big companies, they're always making different moves, right? They're acquiring someone, their stock price might be going to record highs, anything like that. You want to know that. You want to know it because you want to know it at a high level. You want to know it because, well, at an interview, they might just bring it out. Hey, what do you think about this acquisition? Hey, what do you think about our stock price right now? Why do you think it's so high up? You need to know high level why they are the way they are so you can hold a conversation at least. And now the second approach is to go through your contacts. Ask your friends and families, anyone who's ever worked there, anyone who's ever interviewed there. I guarantee you, you'll probably find someone who can refer you to someone that has interviewed there before or is working there right now. The second thing is to go into your LinkedIn Connects. This is why you were spending so much time looking to LinkedIn Connects, building it out. This is time to use it. You can go into LinkedIn, filter out the companies you're interviewing for, and then just reach out to those people. Ask for any personal insights, any advice they have on the recruiting process, and then go from there. Now, for the interview process, there are usually two things that could happen. There are usually the behavioral interview and also the technical/case interview. I'm not going to talk about the technical/case interview because that varies by different industries and different majors. But for the behavioral interview, there's one surefire way to kill this interview portion, and that is by the STAR method. The STAR method is basically situation, task, action, and result. This is important to use because a lot of times when a recruiter is sitting next to you, they have a piece of paper and they jot down what you said, anything unique, like, give feedback and then see if you get a job or not. A lot of times in that piece of paper, they're already separating the STAR method out for you. So by using the STAR method to answer any questions they ask, you'll be making their life easy and making your answers align with what they want to be looking for. So definitely look into the STAR method, and I'm going to give an example right away. So this is an example of what could happen in an interview. An interviewer could go, talk about a time you saw something and did something about it. So your answer would be, your situation is the soccer team when you were playing really physical opponents. The task would be when your coach decided that he wants to do something that you really disagree with. And your action is going to be, what did you do? You decided to speak up and you disagree because you didn't want to sacrifice your morals and values. And the result, that is the most important part of the STAR method. It doesn't matter if you won the match or you lost the match. What matters at the result is what you learned from it. So definitely talk about what you learned from that experience and how you're going to use that experience to apply it to future jobs and future situations that you might be in. So definitely work on the STAR method. And this is the interview cycle. This is what anyone who's preparing for interviews should go through and just over and over again. The first thing is to look up any common questions. Go on Glassdoor, just search the internet. Just go on Google, just look for basic interview questions for this company, for that company. Or you could even search in basic behavioral questions for interviews. You can look through that and then figure it out. The basic questions will usually be, tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And a lot of different things that you will find on the internet. Once you find those questions, once you've compiled it, plan out your STAR response. Figure out a story for each type of scenario from your own experiences. And it doesn't have to be from a job like I just showed you. It could be from a high school experience when you're playing soccer. It could be when you're volunteering. It could be anything. Just has to be a story that fits the STAR method and answers the question in the end. The third thing is to practice in front of a mirror. Because if you are talking to a recruiter, you're going to stutter if you've never talked to yourself. You need to look in the mirror. You need to be able to talk to yourself, look yourself in the eye, and then communicate. Talk through your answers. Talk through any presentations or anything you might have in the future. Always practice in front of a mirror first, so that when you reach the recruiter, you won't be stuttering because you're looking someone in the eye now. The next thing is to practice with your friends. This is important because, yeah, a lot of times when you're doing your own thing, doing your own research, you might feel like, all right, you got this down, you got everything you need. Having an outside perspective is always good. They can see things that you didn't see because you've been so focused on one lane. They'll ask you things that you might not think about. You might see flaws in your STAR method. Who knows? So definitely practice with friends, practice with families. And the last thing you can do is to just dominate the interview. And once you do that, it's a whole cycle again because interviewing almost never stops. And the last thing to note for the interview cycle is to never memorize your answers. A recruiter, they've been doing this for years. They interview so many different people, even on that given day that you're being interviewed. They've listened to so many answers. And if you're not genuine, if you're not talking to them, having a conversation with them, they're going to know. They're trained for this. They're going to know that you're not being genuine, and it's going to be a red flag for you. So here is a list of essentials that I compiled that you should do before and after an interview. The first thing is to research the company and position. Know the ins and outs of the company. Know what acquisition they just made. Know what their stock price is. Know the position. Know what are your tasks for that position. And you can do that through company website, LinkedIn, or reaching out to people. Second is to practice, practice, practice. You have to practice for everything you want to do, right? Whatever you want to do good, you need to practice. Third thing is to dress professionally. Stick with black, blue, and gray. Fourth is to have resumes. Have more than one copy. Definitely have at least 5 to 10 copies and bring it with you. because you never know how many people are going to be in that interview room with you. And you want each of them to be able to look at your profile and evaluate you. You don't want them to be sharing it and it's going to be a little awkward. So definitely bring more than one copy. And it's also optional to print it on cardstock paper. Cardstock paper is just a type of paper that's a little hard and it helps you stand out. But if you don't have it, it doesn't deter you as well, but it doesn't hurt. The fifth thing is to have a portfolio, pen, and paper. This is so you can write down any notes that your interviewer might be giving you and write down anything else you need. Definitely smile. Be as personable as you can. Relax because interviewers are still human. We're all the same. So just smile, relax, and just talk to them. The next thing is prepare questions to ask your interviewer. Because as much as it is for the interviewer to see if you're a fit for their company, it's also for you to see if you want to work at that company as well. So definitely have questions prepared in the end because every interview, you're going to save some time in the end and you're going to be like, so do you have any questions for us? Definitely ask about company culture if you haven't already. Ask about what's the next steps. Ask about their journey with the company and different things that you're genuinely interested in. So have 3 to 4 questions prepared. Next thing is before you leave, ask for contact information because the person who recruited you might not be the person who's interviewing. So definitely get this person's contact information as well so that you can send a follow-up email 24 hours later. So this is a follow-up email template. It's pretty short, pretty simple. It goes, Dear X, it was a pleasure speaking with you today at the interview. Thank you for expanding my knowledge on X position. I really enjoyed our conversation on something unique that you guys talked about. It could be anything. For one of my positions, I actually talked about teaching piano, and the recruiter's daughter actually was learning piano as well. And we just spent a solid 20 minutes talking about piano. So I wrote that in my thank you email. Thank you again for taking your time out of your busy schedule to speak with me, and I look forward to hearing back from you soon. Best regards, X. Something simple, something easy, because whatever that needs to be said should have been said during the interview. So this is just a courtesy thank you for the time. And yeah. So now that you have gone through the entire process, I know I talked for around like 35 minutes maybe on all these different things. I know I talked about a lot of follow-up emails. So I'm gonna do a quick summary of what I talked about. First thing is to do leadership positions and jobs during your college career. Second is to use those things you did in your college career, put in your resume. And the next thing is to be able to use that resume and hand it out to different recruiters, different people, anyone you can give your resume out to, give it out. And the last thing is once you've done all that, you get an interview, you need to crush the interview. And how do you crush it? By doing your research, by practicing, and then sending another follow-up. So those 4 things are hopefully your ways to getting a job out of college as well. Give me a second. So the main thing here that I want to talk about is to just hard work. A good mindset will equate to success. Hard work always beats talent. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this quote, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. It will always be like that. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't have the soft skills, if you didn't send the follow-up email, if you didn't network, you're probably not going to get the job that a friend of yours who's above average or above smart, and he did all these different things and he got the job. So definitely work as hard as you can, have the right mindset, understand that during this 4 years that, well, it is time to just, be free, learn who you are as a person, take up different responsibilities, drop different responsibilities, but at the same time, these 4 years you will need to make sacrifices to get the job that you want. So have hard work, understand the right mindset, and hopefully through that you'll be able to get the job you want. So thank you guys for your time, and I hope this was helpful. So I'm gonna leave some time for Q&A. So feel free to type in the chat anything that you guys want to ask.
Thank you for the sharing and a lot of insight, Mr. Brian. Okay, now let's open for the Q&A session. Is there any questions from the audience? You can right away send a message in our chat box. We will go through with Mr. Brian and he will answer for your questions. For those in the WebEx hall, they can turn on their mic and video to ask directly, or you can type the question in the chat box. Yes. Okay, yeah. Mr. Brian, looks like there is a question from Miss Joanne. Okay, let me to read the question. I'm Joanne, student majoring broadcasting. Just a question. Is it necessarily to post a LinkedIn once every week? Being active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I'm not a broadcasting major, so I cannot talk too much into it, but from my experience, it's definitely good to stay active on LinkedIn. You know, when you see any posts that you might agree with a lot, see any posts that you really like, yeah, feel free to do a quick like, comment a little bit on it, or even share it on your profile. Staying active on LinkedIn definitely is a great way for recruiters to notice you. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and do that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. I believe Miss Joanne, you received the update from Mr. Brian. So is there any other questions? Yeah, you can right away turn on your mic or camera to ask directly with Mr. Brian. Yeah, there is another question from Pun Mei Fang. Dear Mr. Brian, I would like to ask, in career fair, is it a better, sorry, is it is it better just to stick to a few companies that you are really interested in, or a massive conversation with the different employers is all right? Because we have to do a lot of research about the companies, right? And we can't remember that much, right?
Yeah. So um definitely have like maybe 5 to 10 top companies that you really want to talk to. But at the same time, those companies you definitely want to do as much research as you can. And that's why you bring a portfolio to career fair. Remember when I talked about the portfolio? Definitely bring a portfolio so you can write down things that about the company so you don't have to memorize it and you can at least have notes that you can look back on. Do that. And then in terms of talking to like massive conversations, yeah, you can go ahead. One strategy that I usually use when I go to the career fair is that because going to the career fair, you have nerves, right? There's like hundreds of thousands of people talking at the same time, so many different recruiters. Something that I do is that to calm my nerves, I go to talk to some companies that I might not be super interested in, but I would love to find out more about. So I just go up to them, talk to them a little bit about, what their company is about and just get it going. And now that my nerves are calm, go line up for the top 10 companies that you really want to, and then go from there. And also, you spelled my name wrong. It's Bryan. But yeah, no worries.
Yeah, there is another question from Manashi Mishra. Okay, thanks for this session. I would like to ask, what would it make different if mentioned in our resume, whether our internship is paid or not?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just keep it what you just keep like the company name, the position, and what you did. You don't have to talk about if it was paid or not. It doesn't matter as long as you learned a lot because honestly, sometimes at a smaller company where you're doing a lot of like, you know, at a smaller company, you do a lot more work than sometimes at a big company as an intern because there's so many things going on at one time at a big company that they might not have time to give you, real work. But at a smaller company where every single person being paid there, they're doing their absolute most, you're gonna learn a lot. So it doesn't matter if it's paid or not. Just make sure you learn something and put it in your resume.
Yes, we keep receiving a lot of questions. This is from Watch Done. My question is, how early should a person start applying for a job in their final year?
Um,
Mm,
I think it I think it differs a little bit from like countries to countries. For example, in the United States, most jobs, or I guess the best way to think about it in the United States is that in your junior year, your third year, by your fall semester, which is the first semester from September to November, you're expected to be able to land an internship, and that internship will hopefully transition into a full time offer. But if you weren't able to do that your junior year, your senior year comes along, right? Your senior year, you definitely need to get it as soon as possible because a lot of the bigger jobs, a lot of the dream jobs for a lot of people want that, right? Because it's a dream job. So a lot of people would have secured their internship and transitioned into full time. So you need to get it as soon as possible. Right when you start, just start applying, applying, applying.
Okay, yeah, this is from Mr. Ali. He said that he will be graduate this year. In regards to the resume, what if he don't have any internship experience? Will his resume still be effective if I would send to my desired job position?
So if you don't have many internship experiences, right, that's completely fine. Hopefully you have like, different leadership experiences and maybe any research positions you did in school, any unique case studies, any unique group projects. Those can be used too. They're not the most ideal way to go about it, but everyone has a different path, right? So if you don't have a lot of internships yet, you can go ahead and write any high school experiences you have, any leadership positions, volunteer, it could be anything as simple as a bake sale. It could be anything you can think of in your lifetime. You've definitely done something, so just put it in there.
Another question from Ashraf. What if you're not active in any clubs during your college life? Will that be a minus point for you to get a job?
Um, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's a minus point, but having more leadership positions is important because, like, like a lot of different people, right? A lot of people might not have internship experiences and work experiences. So what a recruiter will look at next is leadership because your leadership positions is usually when you're really stepping up. Is when you actually make a real tangible impact. At internships, sometimes you're doing the smaller work that won't have as big of an impact, but your leadership positions in those different clubs will help you stand out because those are things that you really took account for, and that's your project. That's what you did. So definitely try and get as many leadership positions as you can, but if not, and you have work experience, that's fine.
Okay, this is from Manashi again. What if we do keep applying for many jobs through emails or their website? We do not hear back from them. Would it be appropriate to keep emailing them or perhaps giving the HR team a call to inquire on the status?
Um, I wouldn't. Maybe an email would be completely fine if you know the recruiter on a semi basis. At least you know that person, but definitely don't just call in because these HR people they work in like they look big businesses that I don't think they would appreciate a college student just calling them out and asking, hey, how's my application, when probably thousands and thousands of resumes got rejected that time. So definitely you can maybe try emailing if you know the recruiter a little bit, talk about, oh, wonder why you didn't get it, and ask for feedback.
Okay, and there's this question from Pun Mei Fang. I wish to ask, will you recommend us to send a lot of application to different companies in order to increase the chances of being employed? Or it's better to stick our application focused to our dream companies to work with?
Nah, it's a numbers game. You need to send it to as many companies as you can because you might have the best resume, but for some reason you just didn't get an interview at your dream company. And sometimes it happens. And you might not get a reason why ever. So just go outside and just apply to as many as you can. Because honestly, applying to jobs doesn't take that long. A lot of company websites have made it a lot simpler where you can just import your LinkedIn profile and then just apply for it. So just apply to as many as you can. And then hopefully with all these applications, you get interviews. And with those interviews, you get offers and you can choose from the offers. So don't limit yourself to just your dream companies.
Okay, and there is a question from Ms. Kasturi. As now we are facing a pandemic with COVID-19, most of the companies reject the application. What are the better way or suggestion to find a job or intern? Since there are no option to join any career fair currently, as well as to have an effective resume for an intern.
Yeah, I definitely understand. It's a very different time we're living in. But with that being said, though, I feel like a lot of companies are doing like, virtual internships that you could apply to. And if you're not able to do those, try and pick up new skills, pick up like tangible, like hard skills that you can put on your resume. So, for example, in the past, since March, I've been in quarantine and my job doesn't start until August. So in that in between time, I've just been going on like Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning, just learning different like skills, getting more certificates to put on my resume. So you can do that in the meantime. And when the job market opens up again, hopefully your resume is packed with new and sought after skills that you can use that to apply for jobs.
So, Mr. Brian, maybe you can advise everyone when is the right time for them to start apply for an internship.
The right time is as early as possible. Just get your resume out there. This is why you need to like start from your first year, just building your resume up. And if you're a little late now, that's completely fine. Just go and get as many leadership positions as you can. Do different case studies, do different group projects, put it in your resume, make it as good as it can be in the time, and then send out as many resumes as you can right away.
Okay, and yeah, there is a question from Aisha. I wish to ask, should we include skills or experience in our resume that only focusing on our position that we asking and related to our major course?
Um, I'm not too sure about the question, but if I'm understanding it right, you're asking if you should include any skills that's just solely focused on your major, right? Yeah, definitely include those. And yeah, just include skills that's definitely related to your major. That will help with the job application for sure.
Okay, Mr. Brian. So while waiting for other question, we appreciate a lot if you could share some of your personal interview experience. Maybe like the students can get some ideas, like they might know something from you.
Yeah, sure. So I think one interview experience that I found really unique was with a pharmaceutical company in the United States. It was really interesting because for that interview process, and by that time I interviewed with this company, I've interviewed a couple of different places, so I kind of understood the interview process by now. You know, the usual phone call, in person, and then maybe an offer. So for this one, though, it was very different. It was a lot more thorough, I would say. It started from a phone call and then another phone call. And then after that, it was something called the Gallup, which was basically a phone call again, where it was an hour long. And I was only supposed to answer with yes or no because I guess you're trying to figure out some algorithm. So it was an hour long yes or no question. And she just kept asking me questions for an hour long. And after that, it was the on site interview. And the on site interview was actually when I was asked about the Dragon Ball question. So that was definitely a very unique experience. I've never had that many phone calls for even to get to the in person experience. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting one. I think my biggest takeaway from that interview was just to get my story straight, because when you're answering so many star methods, right, sometimes you confuse your stories a little bit. But yeah, just have your story straight and answer yes, no, and just be sure of yourself.
Thanks for the sharing, Mr. Brian. Okay, yeah, I will look on the question. I mean, like the question in the chat box. Okay, Manashi came back again with another question.
Yeah.
Okay, for asking when. Okay, yeah, she asked. Sorry for that. No problem. Thanks for your question again. So, if we have been, the question is, if we have been extremely active on a campus life with the clubs and sport activities, should we put in all that in our resume?
Yeah. So definitely put as much as you can, but I would also say that put the sports or clubs that you have leadership positions in, or things that you want, something unique that helps you stand out, right? So definitely put those first and then the other stuff, because you're probably not going to be holding a position at every single club you're a part of. So those that you're not holding leadership positions, you probably don't need to include them. Include the ones you have positions, include any sports that you might have won, and yeah, just include. No
Believe,
problem.
oh, okay, yeah, still got her. Okay, this is from one of the students. I mean, like one of the users. It's low here in terms of resume writing. You say that it's best to keep it within one page. But if we have a lot to write, is there any elements that you think relatively would not hurt if we leave out, like personal interest or example?
Um, if you are in college or like a new grad, definitely keep it within one page, because I understand that sometimes you have a lot of things you want to write, and that's good, but try and keep the bullet points to one line, so hopefully you can save space there. Work with the margins a little bit, work with the font sizes a little bit, and then I wouldn't recommend leaving out your interests, but I would recommend leaving out your high school experiences, because those are maybe like 3 4 years behind now. They're not as relevant. So hopefully by just including your college work, your college like leadership positions, you can fill up one page.
Okay, this is from Mr. Afik. He's a final year student. I'm graduating this year, August. I seem to not be able to secure a job placement yet. Should I just continue with looking for internship instead of job to increase my experience and skills, or continue looking for a job?
I would say do both. Just it doesn't hurt. Just do both, and then having an internship first definitely helps your chances of going back to the company, getting new skills, more tangible skills. So definitely do both. As as long as we're in quarantine and lockdown, we all have a lot of time anyway. So yeah, just go ahead and just keep applying away because it's a numbers game at the end of the day.
What is the longest and toughest interview you have gone through so far?
Um, my longest interview and the toughest one was definitely with a bank. It was really long. I started at 7 a.m. and I think I ended at 5 p.m. and it was like it was it was it was really tough because it was like questions after questions after questions, and I think I every single round I interviewed was that day. It was a super day, so I interviewed I guess around I would say 6 rounds, and each round lasted around like 45 minutes with two people, and it wasn't just behavioral; it was technical questions too. So it was really wrecking my head. And on top of that, before the day started, right when we got there, we had to take a written test on finance and accounting as well. So that was definitely the longest and hardest interview experience I ever had. But it was a good experience though. I learned a lot, and it definitely like sparked my interest in the finance field.
Okay, there is a question again from Manashi. I'm not so sure whether I pronounced the name correct or not. Manasi. Okay. I would like to know if I have learned to use certain software in my degree life. Shall I put it in my resume? But I'm just afraid that I may not be able to remember the full use of this software later on this life. I may lose practice of it. And if I put it in my resume, what if the company asks me on it?
Um, I would say you write it as long as you learned it and you can, pick it up if you need to. So definitely write it down. And then if the company asks you, you can usually ask a recruiter when they send you like an invitation for interview. You can ask them like, oh, what is the interview process going to entail? They'll probably tell you it's behavioral. And if it's a very technical role, they'll be like, oh, there's going to be a technical aspect as well. And they'll be like, oh, we might test you on this, and that. So before the interview, you might have some late nights ahead and just practice those things. Go on YouTube and just like find specific things that you need to know. So yeah, definitely leave it on as long as you can pick it up within like a week or two.
Okay, and this is from Mr. Edward. What about academic competitions that we have participated in a long time ago? Do we include all of it in our resume?
So definitely stick with the one page and then go your I guess the way your experiences and competitions should be listed in your resume is from the latest one to the I guess the most historic one. So as long as it's in one page, you can include all of it. But most likely, if it's like from 10 years ago, hopefully you've done like different things after that that it won't have space to include in it, unless it was something super unique, like maybe winning like national championship in some sports or some games or whatever, something very unique. Then yeah, keep it on. But if it's something a very like broad competition and it's a long time ago, maybe don't include it if you don't have enough space for one page.
Yep, there is another question. What have differentiated you from other candidates to get the job offer or internship?
Um, I think my biggest differentiator would be I think just like my networking. Like I was like I said during my first 2 months of my junior year, my third year, I went to every single information session you could think of, every career fair. I'm not even engineering, and I went to the engineering career fair. I went to the computer science career fair. I went to all these different career fairs just to get my name out there, get my resume out there and just talk, because the more I talk, the more confident I got at just talking about myself, talking about my experiences, about asking them about their experiences as well. So I think it was just like how much networking I did that really differentiated. But even before that though, I guess it was just the different leadership positions in college that differentiated myself.
Yep, Mr. Brian, there is another question from Kai Shwarya. Can we add extra curricular activities from primary school if they are related to in leadership too? Or should we just stop with high school all the way to uni?
It really depends on like how much information you have in your resume, right? But usually if you have a track record of like having leadership positions since primary, you probably did it in middle school, probably did it in high school, probably did it in uni. So your resume will most likely not be able to fit all these different things, so just stick with uni and high school. And even then, if you really do a lot of things in university, you have job experience, your leadership, your high school does not need to be there.
Yep, there is another question from Aisha. What's your opinion about some companies that focusing on a year of experience in that position? Should us, the new graduated students, should avoid from applying from that job position?
No, apply away. It doesn't hurt you. Like if they're gonna reject you, they're just gonna reject you, and it doesn't hurt your chances at that company in the future. So just apply away, because sometimes the job descriptions, they are more so like the most ideal candidate they can look for, but they're probably not gonna find the most ideal candidate with like 10 years experience that knows all these different softwares, know these different languages, all these different things. So apply away, try and cater your resume to the job description a little. Definitely don't lie, but yeah, cater to like what the job description says and then apply from there. And doesn't hurt you. So yeah.
And this is from Sham. May I ask, is the online certificates from certain website useful in the resume?
Yeah, of course. Like definitely take like online certificates, especially right now when we cannot go out. So like yeah, take online certificates, put it on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn, and yeah, go from there. I mean, there are definitely like more credible websites, so just do your research on that as well.
Okay, Mr. Brian, could you share how you have used LinkedIn to do your research on the interviewers?
Yeah. So sometimes in an interview, they will tell you who's going to interview you in the process, I guess. So in the email, they might say like this person, the director of this company, is going to interview you, and most likely, since he's a director, he'll have like information online. He'll have a LinkedIn profile that's pretty thorough. So go into that LinkedIn profile, go into Google, search him up, get as much information as you can, and try and see how you can connect yourself to that in an interview. Because I know for my current job right now, the way I did the interview was that before the interview started, there was a happy hour actually that we got to network with them a little bit. So I talked to the interviewer a little bit beforehand, and he mentioned his name, his title, and all those different things. I kept note of that, and then when I went home, my interview was the next day. I went home. I definitely went on LinkedIn. I went on Google, searched him up, saw what he did in the past, and I noticed that he was actually a college wrestler. So that was really good for me because I did Taekwondo like all my life pretty much until like college. So it was contact sports, and that's where I drew the connection. So in an interview, when we were talking, I asked him, I was like, "Hey, I noticed on your LinkedIn that you were a college wrestler. I wondered how that has helped you in your job because I did Taekwondo back in the day as well, and I was wondering how you applied all the different skills and disciplines you learned and applied to the job." And we had a really, really good conversation from that, and I got the job I wanted.
Okay, I think that's the only question that was posed. Okay, since it's already 11. Oh, okay, maybe this is the final question from James. For an online certificate from online learning platform such as Coursera, is it worth it to purchase this certificate?
Yeah. For Coursera, they are pretty reputable. They have like certificates from like different universities, like top universities. So definitely go ahead if you truly feel that that certificate will help steer you into the direction you want to be. But at the same time, though, Coursera does offer like free versions where you can take the course, learn everything in it. You just won't get a certificate. So you can still do that. You might not be able to put in your resume, but having that knowledge is still good. So it depends if you want to spend the money and get a certificate, definitely great. But if you don't want to spend the money and still want to learn it, you can still do that.
Okay, as okay, I think we are run out of time. Okay, as we promised. Okay, if let's say students, if you have any other question, you can right away drop your questions in our GNI group, WhatsApp group, so that we will, we will ask Mr. Brian to answer for you. And okay, as we promised before we start our webinar, here's the time for the lucky draw. So let's wait and see who will be the 10 lucky winner of today's webinar. So our tech team are ready for the lucky draw. So these are the 10 lucky winners who qualified to receive the gift by our presenter in terms of their resume method and advice from the presenter for their resume. So let me to read their name again. Correct me if I pronounce your name right. First one will be Chan Zi Yi. The second one, Christine Chuang Mi Ying, Ku Chia Singh, Muhammad Ali, Shaw Chung Wei Jun, and then the sixth, Wang Zin Rin, Irene Tay Lindy, Lai Chang Fong, Tung Zan Yi, and the last, Leong Min Yi. So these are the 10 lucky winners. So the winner, you need to drop your resume at our email address, which is talent@ghostmac.mobi. Our team will provide you our email address. So kindly drop your resume so that we can bring it to Mr. Brian. Do not forget to drop your resume, your I think your updated resume. So yeah, our email address is already posted in our chat box. talent@ghostmac.mobi. Okay, 10 lucky winners. Good, congratulations! And do not forget to send your resume to us maybe within 3 days so that we can process. So these are the three names, and I will send a WhatsApp message, WhatsApp and email to all these 10 lucky winners. Okay, and another thing that I wanted to inform everyone. Okay, please remember to join on our GNI WhatsApp group, our Global Network Initiative WhatsApp group, because we would like to post Mr. Brian's resume in our group. So for those who still not joined yet, kindly join, and our webinar recording will be posted over there. And I would like to repeat again the purpose of our GNI group. Okay, the main objective why we create GNI group is to we want to grow, network, and initiate the youth of today to be the leaders of tomorrow. The second objective is learn, interact, and participate in webinars and activities conducted by peers, industry, and thought leaders. The third one is get access to webinar links, monitoring resources, and support. The fourth objective will be get access to a job and internship opportunities in real time. So I really want the students to come and join us on our global network initiative. Maybe our GoSmack team, could you please share again our WhatsApp link so that for those who still not joined yet, they can right away join on our WebEx. I mean, sorry, in our WhatsApp. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Our WhatsApp GNI group is already posted in chat box, so kindly have a look. For those who still not joined yet, please come and join us. You will get a lot of insight from this group. Okay. Uh, hopefully today you have received a lot of knowledge and ideas from the speaker. So before we end this session, kindly fill up the 5 survey questions, which would not take more than 1 minute to complete it so that we can do better for you in future. As you can see, yeah, our survey link is already posted in our chat box. Kindly click on the survey link and answer the 5 questions and submit to us. So yeah, students, please be aware our survey link is already posted in our chat box. Kindly click on the link and yeah, answer for the 5. Yeah, we will post the FB Live link in our GNI group. So that's why we want all the students to join our GNI group. Okay, as I believe everyone can start join on our WhatsApp group. Okay, thanks once again for joining us this morning. We hope you have enjoyed our webinar as much as we have enjoyed hosting this webinar for you. Remember, there is no secret to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from the failure. Work hard, have some fun, make history. We'll look forward to seeing you again in our next webinar. Keep the spirit up, stay safe, keep well, and we will see you again. Thank you. Terima kasih. Share, and nandri.